I think we spend so much more time than we should reading between the lines. I was telling you a story this morning about, oh my gosh, is that what they meant?
Yeah.
And you can spin out of control really fast.
You can.
So let's just read the lines.
Welcome to the Hope and Hairspray podcast. I'm Rhodey Kate.
And I'm Kelly Osborne. Today, we will lead you on a journey of self-development and professional growth. You will be inspired to be the best version of who you were meant to be.
Let's jump in.
Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode, which is number 3 of 4.
Yep.
Really. We are breaking down the CliftonStrengths talents into what they call and label as it's just a name of domains. So they take the 34 talents, make it a little easier for you to wrap your arms around them. And there are 4 of them. There's executing, influencing, strategic. And today we talk about relationship building. So
Yes.
Where is it just for you? So we know going into this.
It's my second. I lead with it. I lead with influencing, then relationship building.
Okay.
But I have quite a few of the themes. Within This is my heaviest. It's the most from a number of population of my top 10.
Okay. So interesting fact. I'm going to tell this story a little early before we start naming names. So we're giving you this information for you if you don't have your CliftonStrengths, or even if you do, we're deep diving a little bit long, but to help you kind of identify, I probably have that, or I'm good at getting things done, like our executors. But it's not always telltale.
It's not.
Self-awareness.
Yep.
Remember, 95% of people think they're self-aware, and 10 to 15% really are. So all my life, I was called a people person.
And what do you call yourself today?
All my life. A peoplepreneur.
And you are.
That's who I am. Mm-hmm. When my husband took it, I think he had maybe a negative comment in school or his first job that he didn't play well with others. Right. And so he was like, I can't people today, or I can't, and I was like, I saw right through that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously, we were high school sweethearts. So I've known him for a long time. And I'm like, why would you say that about yourself? Huh. So he took the assessment. I already had my results, and I put them side by side. And I said, when we looked at the domains, so that's on the CliftonStrengths report 34, the page 21. So when we looked at those domains, if you have that page, and I said, wow, look who the people person is. And he said, of course it's you. And I said, nope, it's not me.
From a relationship building perspective, influencing has a lot of peopleness in there too.
So that is a very, very good point, is that our winning others over, can come across as a relationship strength.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. It's in the influencing, and we talked about that.
Is.
So let's just name. So relationship people, relationship building is the domain. They are cohesive. They're the bonding agent. They build, they nurture. They're the glue to a group, right? That's kind of what they're known for. But the strengths that are in that category are adaptability, connectedness, developer, empathy, harmony, includer, individualization, positivity, and relator. So those are, if you have your CliftonStrengths and you are like, oh yeah, I have that strength and I have that strength. You might lead with the relationship building, but if you're not, I'm just going to read some terms that maybe you've heard about yourself, or maybe you've called somebody else this.
Okay.
And they might, if you want to identify people, maybe you don't have it, or maybe you think you do, like I thought I did and everybody around me thought I did. Here are some terms: personable, empathetic, collaborative, approachable, considerate, warm, adaptable, an active listener, and supportive. So aren't those great words? I mean, these are definitely people that you want to you want to hang out with, right?
But realizing you can still be called those things, and it's coming out from a different perspective, a different way, so it's not, but commonly doesn't mean you're not supportive and not mean some of these things. But this is traditionally what goes on when you're talking about the relationship building domain.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of them that we see a lot, so we work with a lot of teams, partners, individuals that are trying to, when they take their CliftonStrengths assessment, because that is something before we meet with you, we need to know this. It's a gold mine of information. Right. When they don't see empathy high, right? Because empathy has just been...
It's been a hot topic for... I don't know, 7 years, you think?
Even and more? You know more HR-wise.
Definitely corporately. I mean, and how do you be an empathetic leader? And can you fake it? And all those things are definitely hot topics.
But from Gallup, from CliftonStrengths perspective, empathy is one of the only physiological strengths. Like you have it, I don't. I'm perfectly okay with me not having it. Some people, like we have a lovely lady, she was in our sabbatical last year, who it was number 34. And she was like,
oh no.
Oh my gosh, what does this say about me? Nothing.
No. And it doesn't all that strengths say, these themes are what comes naturally to you.
Right.
But things the way they call each of one of their definitions of the 34 can be a little bit different, right? And so make sure you understand what the definition is. A lot of people will freak out. They don't have something. They do have something. Like, read the definition. I'm a learning person. Been doing that industry, 25 years. And learner is number what? I think it's 31 for me.
Really?
Because the definition of learner is you love the act of learning. I like the results I get from learning. And I like to help other people be successful.
Okay.
That's why I do what I do. I don't do it because I like to learn.
Okay.
So just something. Just be careful. Yeah. Be careful as we're doing this. You guys are going to have a lot
labels.
Right. Yeah. You're going to have a lot of information here, and at the end of this one, we're going to have that digital gift for this domain. That's going to help you if you have it. Leverage it more, and if you don't have it, how to really what's the hairspray, or what are the strategies, if you will. Hairspray kind of for us means the strategies to execution.
Perfect. So one thing we do for these 4 episodes is do something we don't commonly do, is we start with the issues.
Yeah, let's start with the issues.
So the issues of if you have relationship building, these could be the overuse. It's used a little too much. It might be in the basement, right? It's not like a muscle. If I find out that I have a bicep today, that doesn't mean I can lift that cabinet, right?
What does the basement mean?
So the basement, it's not operating at its fullest potential. It's maybe immature.
Yep.
Right? This is all about when you take the assessment, you've named your strengths. Right? I've named them. And then you start to claim them. And that's the learning process. Listen to podcasts, and not just ours. There's some great podcasts out there.
One of the things we like about Gallup, besides the philosophy and the Gallup, the guiding principles, is when you take the assessment, and you can let us know, we can help you, get you set up with your code, but you have access to not only the information we have on our website, but Gallup has some great tools for you to learn more about your particular theme and your domain.
So much for robust, unique reports too.
Yes,
right. So great. We couldn't say enough about Gallup's
there's so much
website. So we're going to start off with some of the issues.
Okay.
I guess not start. We're 9 minutes in, but some of the issues if you have a relationship building domain high is you avoid bold decisions. You are reluctant to challenge somebody, like have tough conversations.
Okay.
You could over focus on relationships at the cost of task completion. So you can avoid, like, oh, I have a great idea, or I want to make that decision, but you want to keep the peace, right? You don't want to challenge anybody. Sometimes empathy can play into that. You can feel what maybe the other person would feel like if you did. And you could focus on relationships so much that it could cost task completion. So some of the issues, I don't have relationship building high, and you do.
I do.
What do you see as, have you identified with any of these issues?
Yeah, I actually have 5 of my top 10 themes are in relationship building. So I do. My note taking was just dreadful. Sorry. The first one was, tell me what the first one was.
Avoid bold decisions.
So I think avoiding bold decisions, in that, I think it depends on where it's coming from. I can see it from a relationship building, and what I've seen others that have it high is that because it's a relationship and it involves people, you don't want to do it on your own. It's about collaboration. And so I don't, and my family doesn't actually always understand this. It works great at work because I lead collaboratively, and like we're doing a strategic planning sessions, we do those often. That what we do is actually collaborative strategic planning, which when we talk about, hey, how do you get your teams engaged at work? There are 3 ways. CliftonStrengths, which is what we're talking about today. Leadership development, which is something we talk about on podcasts. And then the third way is strategic planning, collaboratively. So that's how I think one of the reasons that comes up. Now, I'd be curious if someone else has a different take on this, if there's something you struggle with. I'd love to see what your down and dirty is about this, because no one's really been able to articulate it differently to me. So
Great.
I would say it's just that about you're not wanting to override someone else or discount someone. What was the other one? There was one about
you're reluctant to challenge anybody.
Yes. So
Right? Be like, crucial conversations.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to bring that up.
Yeah. So challenging others, and might not even just be giving feedback, it's just challenging an idea. But because I'm high in other things, this personally isn't an issue for me, right? I use ideation for this. I like to do that. I have a belief that feedback is a gift. So I want to know, and I want people to be able to tell us. So the challenge pieces, this can be hard as well from this perspective, because you don't want to damage the relationship. So we'll talk a little bit more about what to do about that. But it's really just saying, hey, if I challenge someone and they don't feel good about themselves now, what's the relationship going to be like?
Right.
Right.
Because that's your definition of success. That's how you get from A to B, is about the relationship.
Absolutely.
So it's important.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yes. And then you had, I can't even
Sometimes you focus on relationships so much
the task
that the task is compromised.
So I think it depends on your position. As leaders, this may not show up so much because you've got a relationship. You don't have to necessarily always do the task. You're getting work done through people. So relationship building, that may not show up for leaders. Now, from maybe some difficult things, like let's say the task is difficult and you like people, which are you going to choose? Something you don't like to do and that's difficult? Or your people, or you're probably going to go people.
Sure.
So I can see that definitely comes up for people quite a bit too.
So
just
awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awareness that
absolutely.
it's okay. Yeah. I do struggle with that a little bit. And sometimes that people person can just be very focused on that. And we do need people who are focused on people, right? People like that misperception that I was the people person in our relationship, but I also have belief number 1. So the value of people.
Your belief is that people are everything or key. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we're going to lay out some truth with some hope blended into it.
Let's do some hope.
And that can be always, we're going to again define what a weakness is.
Yep.
Right? Because just because you don't have this, it's not a weakness. So a weakness is anything that gets in your way of success. Right. That might be a broken record, but I'll play it every time. So what is your definition of success if I'm not getting there and we need to get there, which is probably the easiest with relationship building, is they like the we, right? Collaboration is super important to them. So if you don't have high relationship, or if you do have high relationship, who can you partner with? And we're going to talk about the other 3 domains when you partner with them, right?
Let's create some hope.
That you can collaborate and reach success.
Okay.
So if a relationship building person partners with somebody with high executing, what does that look like? They maintain focus on achieving goals and they ensure productivity. So the executing person brings that to the relationship. They have that. I think of looking through a peephole on a hotel room door.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When you have this talent, you've kind of like see through that lens, right? And when you add another peephole, right,
Yeah.
your vision just doubled, right? Like you can see more, through the lens of that person bringing that executing talent. So they maintain focus. They help you maintain focus. That's a strength that I don't see very often in people. Like a true CliftonStrengths talent is focus.
Yeah, it's low, isn't it?
And that's right. It's very low.
Yeah.
Gosh, I couldn't imagine. It's probably going even lower now, right? But when the executing person could have focus in their execution, right? And that is super helpful to stay on task.
Right.
Then what if you combined your relationship talents with an influencer? So they amplify your ability to inspire and engage others, and it expands your impact.
That is that's a great combination. Yeah.
That's you. I mean, you have influence relationship building.
I do. I don't think well, maybe I'm not using it all the way, but yeah, darn, yeah. But and I think of those people that are able to then kind of spread. I mean, that's what influencing is, spreading it out, getting that just broadening your impact. You're right. It's pretty amazing. And then you can also help those people who maybe they're good at relationship building and they're good at these things, but an influencing person is going to help that person be heard, be seen, be understood, and kind of almost the distribution arm, if you will, kind of get it out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that combination of a relationship with an influencer, because influencers, like we talked about in the last episode, can kind of have a sharp edge or appear to have that, right? If we don't communicate it well. So then our last combination is, what does relationship building strength with strategic thinking look like? And that adds vision and analytical depth.
Yeah.
It aligns your connections with long-term objectives.
Yeah. It can really get you going far. I mean, that strategic thinking is just, helpful for that. It brings more purpose to it. I mean, if you're good at relationship building, it's almost like aiming your relationship to some end and to some purpose, and understanding what that is, and then being able to go there. So yeah, that is that paints a great picture for hope.
I love that. So it's about your definition of success.
Yep.
I want to get here, but I'm having some of these issues. And then we just gave you some options to pair, partner, collaborate, appreciate. If anything, just appreciate that somebody brings that. Appreciation should be the new competition, right? That I appreciate that about you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't have to do it all. We were not made to be well-rounded. So
don't do it all.
Right. Can I partner with somebody who it's,
and you go further.
Sense of relief.
You go exponentially further, right?
Absolutely.
You go exponentially further. So that's great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other hairspray that would help?
Let's talk about those issues you have.
So avoid bold decisions. Reluctant to challenge.
Let's do the bold decisions. I think in the bold decisions is then make it collaborative. Be clear about what kind of decision making. One of the things we say about leadership is understand what your decision making methodology is. Is this a decision I'm making and telling people, or is this a collaborative? So like you need to call it out, but then use others to help you make those decisions, because that's what it is. Or I had to change, I've said this before, I had to change the way I wrote emails to someone on my team because she was a support staff and she executed. So I would say, would you mind doing something? Well, as a leader, that's not what I was saying. I'm like, thank you, please, you're great. This needs to be done. It's part of your purview. Please do this, versus would you mind? That's really not the intent of what I was saying. I was like, this is part of it. Please do this. And by this date, and let me know if there's any issues, right? So there's a little bit of difference there. So being aware of that.
I think we spend so much more time than we should reading between the lines. I was telling you a story this morning about, oh my gosh, is that what they meant?
Yeah.
And you can spin out of control really fast.
You can.
So being just read the lines.
Yeah.
Be a little more clear.
And if you don't understand it, then ask. Or if you think it could be, it's like, it could be A or B. I don't know. Tell me, is it A or B? Oh, it's C. Wow, didn't see that coming. Happens all the time.
Just ask. Like we talked about with influencing. I have influencing, so I'm just going to communicate that this could come across this way.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Just be clear.
Yeah.
Right?
What was one of the other?
The other one was sometimes you focus on relationships a little too much and you don't get work done, right? Like the task could be compromised.
Yeah. So in that case, that is just time management. So really lean toward those 7 habits. We talked about that not that long ago, I think. I love that book, and that's about first things first. Really, the first habit 2 and 3, but habit 3 is getting things done first things first. There's some good practice around that, and so leverage those, use those, because then you're going to be focused more on the task. Because the power of and, which also was an episode some time ago, the power of and I love that. You can do both. You can be relationship and you can get things done. You can do both.
I said this all the time at our catering company. You can work and talk. I don't care if you talk all day. As long as you're working. I mean, I'm high executing. But
right. Yeah. You can do that. My coach, Bubba, from 7th grade basketball, said we couldn't talk and chew gum at the same time, though. But that's a different story.
That is a different story.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So I think from the relationship building is the Hairspray really is about understanding that you have it and leverage it. And then was there another issue that came up? I think
so reluctant to challenge. Sometimes you're like, this person's driving me crazy, but I don't want to hurt their feelings, or you tend to just be, and then you put up with it. And then you can start to sow a seed. There could be some resentment, right? You're carrying that rock, and it doesn't get smaller. It gets heavier.
If this is a big problem with you, I'm just going to say that if this is really a big problem for you, I would say coaching is great. One-on-one coaching, because this can be very difficult for people. If it's super difficult in lots of ways, you might flip into therapy, honestly. Sometimes we say that, like, wow, this is not a coaching problem. This is something that I think someone, a therapist can help. But for the most part, I think it's this change your paradigm or the way that you see it. That my ability to share with someone something or to have this difficult conversation, look for the future. It might be bumpy through the ride, but we're going to land well. It might be bumpy through the ride, but it's going to be sunshine on the other end. You have to have the belief that gets you through it, that the pain and the awkwardness on doing it is going to be worth it in the end. So it's a little bit about kind of just you've got to do it. You'll be better for it at the end.
You will live. You will live. You're like,
it.
I could never say this. I will just die.
Yeah.
But nope.
Yeah.
I promise you, you probably won't.
And if you are in relationship, you probably have the ability to say it in a nice way. And to be heard. And in fact, I think one of the issues is probably the way you deliver things isn't heard well because you're probably saying it too nicely. But that is a whole workshop. Let's be clear. Yeah. So there's a lot of time on that one, on communication and
crucial
bleeding.
Conversations could be several episodes, not just one.
Yeah.
So wow. So so for our listeners, resources are something that's always important for us to put in your hands because we're about Hairspray, making it stick. So they can go to our website at hopeandhairspray.com.
They can.
Right.
Yeah.
For some digital material.
We'll have a digital gift on account gift. I don't know what to call it. Tell me what to call it, y'all.
Resource.
Resource, yes.
Resource.
That will be associated with this podcast and the relationship building domain.
Yeah, perfect.
I think we're helpful.
But if you have any other questions, you can always reach out, comment, like us, subscribe, send us an email. We have a newsletter on our website.
We do. You can sign up for the newsletter.
Tons of content, right?
Yeah. One of the things we'll do, I think, on the newsletters is we'll push out. That'll help push out so you don't have to ask for something. You have to go find it. Nice. I probably should have mentioned this before. So I'll write that down for later.
Well, they'll get a surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning in to our relationship building domain. We hope you've got lots of information. If not, obviously you can check out our website, and we'll see you next time.